guys, Pat here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And the last video that I did on the pool table was me and my boys assembling it. So that was the cabinet or the frame, the bottom frame, and putting on the slates. And the direction I went with that to get them level. So I wanted to separate this video out for two reasons. Number one, it was a little bit long in the tooth. And the other thing is I didn't want you guys to have to, if you don't have to level it or you don't have to assemble a table, you don't have to worry about watching that other video. So trying to save you a little time. Anyway, so what I'm going to do today is I have the table all level and I have it ready to seal. So as you see along the seams here, we have a 3 slate table. It's 1-inch slate, and this is a pretty standard procedure for all pool tables from what I understand. I'm not a professional pool table installer. A lot of the skills that I have acquired over the years, meshed with a little bit of research that I've done, I figure it's no problem. You guys can do it too, and that's why I wanted to share this with you so you guys can have an idea of really how easy it is to assemble a pool table. So again, it's all leveled. It's secured down with all of the fasteners along the perimeter of the table, and so the slates are all ready to seal. And what we're going to do is we're going to use beeswax to use for a sealer on this. It's a pretty standard procedure on sealing the cracks here. And what that does is it gives it a nice smooth transition. If you're going to refelt your table, and that'll be in another video coming up, if you're at this level, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and get some new felt and put on here. This table was 20 years old, so it was, the felt was still in pretty good shape, but I just went ahead and said, well, you know what? If we're this far along, we're this far into it, I might as well just go ahead and put new felt on the table. After leveling the table, I went through with a scraper and very carefully took off any excess or old beeswax that was on the table, and wanted to make sure that there was no glue. And this will be in the next video, but this is strictly for just prepping the slate. But when you go to put felt back on a table, you put a line of felt inside each pocket. Well, the last installer, he cut out the felt, and he just placed it on a table, and he just sprayed the adhesive on there. Then he just stuck it on here, but there's just a little bit of adhesive on here. So what I did is I took a scraper and I cleaned off any of that glue that was on there, because I didn't want to have any influence from the glue surface being higher than the slate itself. I wanted this to be perfectly flat. So that's what I did. I just went through and cleaned all of this glue off of the slate. And so any imperfections that you see throughout the table, you want to remove that with a scraper, or this is a, one of these sharp utility knives here. Again, you want to come through, you want to take all of the old wax off. Then you want to brush it off with a brush. And this is just your standard pool table brush that I have here. This came with a pool table. This is a used pool table. And I recommend, if any of you guys are out looking to buy a pool table, there are a lot of decent pool tables out there for little to no money. So sometimes people even want you to take them off their hands for free. But that's generally not the real good ones, so you're going to have to pay a little bit for the tables. So anyway, let's get started on this. So some of the tools I'll be using are just a couple of putty knives or scrapers and a real sharp utility knife. And this is just an old stainless steel pot that I have. And I use this for melting paraffin in. but I cleaned this out real well so there wouldn't be any influence from candle wax being in here or any foreign object. So I've got beeswax here, and so then I also have a MAP gas torch. And so we'll see how this works out. I've never done this before, but from what I can tell, it's not rocket science. So you guys want to try this, go right ahead on it. I think anybody can do this. Okay, I've seen several different applications, several different ways a guy can, well, a few different ways a guy can do this. You can use the beeswax, or you can use like a body filler, like for Bondo or something like that. Bondo is just a brand name, but a body filler for doing like body work on a car. And I've seen them use stuff like that before. I'm going to go with beeswax because this has already been influenced by beeswax. It's already been waxed before. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the same material as it came off of here. So basically what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to melt this wax in here. These are just wax pellets, so you can get wax in a solid form, like in a brick or something like that. But this is what we had on hand, so it's not going to cost me anything to do it. So here we go. Now I've seen some guys, they'll take like a little brick of wax, and then they'll heat like up a regular tip screwdriver and go along here and just melt it in. That's this way. I've seen guys also lightly warm up the surface of the table as well. And I was a little bit apprehensive about doing that because I was afraid it might crack the slate, but it didn't crack his slate. So I think I'll go ahead and try that. I like the idea of warming this up a little bit. That way when the hot wax gets applied to the crack, it doesn't solidify right away, but it might actually permeate the crack just a little bit and really help to seal that and hold these slates together. I mean, realistically, your fasteners in the center and all along the perimeter of the slate, that's what's actually holding the slate down to the cabinet or framework of the pool table. But you know, I like to think of all avenues, so I'm going to warm this up just a little bit. I don't suppose you have to, but this wax is still liquid inside the pan. This is a MAP gas torch. It heats up hotter than propane. It heats up a little hotter and faster. So I'm going to go ahead and heat this up just a little bit. Now I'll just lightly pour that across there. I'll do this right-handed because I'm right-handed. I have a little more control over my right hand than my left. Now you rest the pan right there on top of the table as well. Now you can see I don't have to go clear to the edge, and the reason for that is that the rail is going to mount right here, so the ball won't go past this point right here. Now you also have to fill up any divots or blemishes on the table. If you have any low areas on the table, you're going to have to fill those in as well, and also where the fasteners are in the center, holding down the center of the slate. As you can see, the slate's kind of cool out here, so the beeswax, it solidifies quite quickly. And as soon as it gets hard like that, you can go right through with the scraper and scrape off the excess wax. The folks that I've seen that do this usually don't go back over it again. but I think I'm going to go ahead and do it just to be thorough. But that right there is really smooth. I can't even feel, well, you shouldn't really feel a transition when you have these slates really level to start with, but this really kind of seals the deal of any blemishes that might be on the slate itself. Again, you really don't have to go back over this again, but I'm going to do it anyway, just to be thorough. Okay, that's done. It's ready. Now I'll go over here to this side while I'm on this side of the table. This part here has just a little bit of a nick right here, and that wax will fill that right in, just like these holes here. And another thing I found nice about using a torch is that if there's any old wax in here at all, it's going to melt it down, so it'll mix with the new wax that you're putting on here. I'm finding out that I don't really need to use this. Just going through and just fine tuning, taking the brush, carefully looking over the table to make sure that there's no blemishes. A piece of sawdust or a little grain of sand or anything like that is just really going to amplify the problems in a slow roll in a good game. Try to take care of any problems that might arise on the table by just being as careful as I can to make sure that there are no high spots anywhere on the table itself. Double check these, make sure they're not dimpled in. Okay guys, in the next video we'll go ahead and attempt to put the new felt on here. If you want to call this felt, this is actually a worst, what they call a WRST fabric. There's a couple of different main fabrics that are out there, and this one here is a little bit higher grade than just the regular felt. So we're going to go ahead and put that on, and I'll kind of show you a few differences of the different felts that are out there based on what I have on hand here and what the research I've done. Thanks for stopping by, and look forward to seeing you on the next installation. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.